is I'm gonna open an image that has a pretty defined element in the picture. So for example, I have some of the pictures from the from this exercise that we did earlier this semester. So for example, we have the pineapple. Let's say I want just that pineapple with a transparent background to place in Illustrator or InDesign, wherever I need an image. So my rule of thumb is every time I'm working with an image, instead of just duplicating the layer, I actually duplicate the image. If you go to Image, Duplicate, what it's gonna do is gonna create a copy of this image as a new file in Photoshop. So I usually just rename it as Edit. When I click OK, you can see now I have the same image twice. So I can close that first one because that's my original. So if things go awry, I can always go back to that original one. And here, same thing, I will duplicate my layer because I don't want to lose it. Let's say I, erase something by mistake, I can always go back. So there are multiple ways of getting rid of background in Photoshop, okay? That's one thing that I want you to know. There are multiple ways of doing all the things that we're gonna do here today, and I'm gonna try and show you as many as possible. So the first thing I wanna show you is how to use the Quick Selection tool. So the Quick Selection tool, it's a pretty neat tool. It's hiding under the Magic Wand tool, and it basically automatically detects the areas where you're selecting. So right now my brush is pretty big. To make your brush smaller or bigger, you're gonna be using the brackets on your keyboard. The left bracket, so the opening bracket, makes your brush smaller. The right bracket makes your brush bigger. I love this, it's super helpful. So yeah. So now if I just start selecting, you can see how it is automatically detecting my pineapple, but there are some discrepancies. For example, right here, it selected the background as well, and I don't like that. But we can always work through things. We can always finesse things. So over here at the top, you can see how this bar has changed. Right now, I'm using the one with the plus button. That's what it creates by default. But right beside it, we have the subtract from selection. So I can click on that, make my brush smaller, and now I'm just counter selecting it, right? I'm kind of like deleting this part of the selection. One thing to note is that this brush specifically, this Quick Selection tool, it is not precise, okay? It does require finagling and finessing. There are easier ways to select the subject of an image. But I first wanted to show you this one because it exists. It can be helpful. So if I do that, now I can, have it mostly all selected. Let me just finish up this side here. I can clean this up a little bit better. Usually if you hold Option is how you get to the minus more quickly. And that will work for a couple different tools that we're gonna be seeing through Photoshop. So I'm just cleaning it up, nothing too fancy. So I'm just gonna copy it, Command-C, Command-V, and paste it. I mean, it's fine. It's just really wonky, right? This isn't a very easy image to cut out. I think it should have done a better job. That's just me though. All right, so I'm gonna rename this layer as the Quick Selection tool. So we will see how different each one of these tools works, okay? Now, let's try another tool. For example, let's try the Magic Wand. The Magic Wand does select just anything that is in an area. So instead of selecting the pineapple, I'm gonna select the background. So if I just clicked on the blue, you can see how it selected most of it. It's mostly the shadow that is a little wonky here, but what I can do is you can see at the bar here, there's some tolerance that you can play around with. There's also a select subject, which we'll get to in a second. But what I want to click on is this Add to Selection, because I just want to make sure that I can click on this area here and that it adds to that selection. However, if I copy and paste this, what is it going to copy and paste? The background or the pineapple? The background, right? There it is. So what we need to do is invert that selection. Is there a shortcut for that? Yes, there is apparently. I didn't know that. I usually just go to select. That's anytime that you have anything selected, the select menu at the top is where you'll find options for your selection. So I can invert my selection by clicking that, and now it selected my pineapple. So that's pretty neat. But let me undo that. If I right click on here, nothing will happen. If I have this tool and right click, then I can select inverse as well. So you have options in these both ways. So now if I copy and paste it, I have a much better selected pineapple. I mean, even the little guys over here got copied, so that's pretty neat. I do have like a little blue here that I can get rid of really easily. I can just select it and press delete. It will delete anything inside of the selection. Very important shortcut, my favorite shortcut in Photoshop, Command or Control D. It deselects things. So if you have something selected that you don't want it to be selected, magic wand and invert selection, then you press Command D. Let's say I selected this rectangle here, but it's like, oh, I don't need this rectangle anymore. Command D, and it's gone. So let me make sure that I take note of that. Unselect. All right, let's take a look at this select subject shenanigans going on here. So I just clicked on that button. I clicked on the magic wand, the bar at the top changed, and then I clicked that select subject. So now my computer is thinking. So it's using its processing power to automatically recognize the subject of the picture. So now it selected my pineapple pretty well. I think the bottom here, like that's such a small detail, but remember, you're a designer. The design is in the details. You can just add that to the selection. Copy and paste. That was pretty good. I'm impressed. This didn't used to be this good. Cool. All right, so this one was just select subject. That's a new thing that they have as well. All right. So those are some of the different ways that you can use the selection tool. But, you know, not every image is going to be as clear cut as this one, right? Other images might have a different, I'll stop this recording so you don't